Okay, yesterday was summer solstice,
Yes.
and I'm so sad about it because summer solstice, summer solstice. I can't even, like, why is it a freaking tongue twister? Like I really struggled on that.
Also, I didn't know you were starting, and so my face in the beginning was like wide mouth. I don't know if you saw. I was like ready. Please take
So
it
bad.
away.
Summer solstice is supposed to be the beginning of summer, but we were saying how it always like basically feels like the end
Yeah.
because the days like now onward get shorter. And I always like love summer because I'm like, oh, the days are so long. Like, it's like light out till like 9:30, like whatever. But even though it's the start of summer, it feels like the end because it feels like the days are getting shorter, like now it's ending. Whereas the lead up to summer is always the days are getting longer.
I know. I feel like it's a very unique hot take that only you and I have, that the
Yeah.
first day of summer is the worst day of summer.
Yeah. But that's I feel like because people don't understand it. Like, for example, people always hate daylight savings in like
Mhm.
when you go forward an hour, like in March or whatever, because they're like, I lose an hour of sleep. And I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna be light out for so much longer. And they like don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but an hour of sleep. I'm like,
Hey, there's always this I don't know why I think of this every time, but there was this like moment a few years ago. You were
mhm.
going through a breakup and I came over,
Okay.
and it was like I think around March or something. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about, but
No.
it was around March, and I think you were home for reading week. I don't know if I was on like a co-op term or if I was still in school, but I just remember it being like almost 9 o'clock and it's still being light outside. And I was so taken aback by how late
In
it
March?
was. Yeah, or some time around then. And it was like so late and it was so bright and it was so lovely. And so every year, the like I get the same day. Like it's not in March. It can be like in June, it can be in April. And I look outside and I realize how light it is. And I get that same feeling. And I think about that day.
Oh my God. First of all, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that you think about my breakup.
I know. Like I don't think about your literal breakup, but I'm like, oh yeah, I actually remember this feeling.
I love that. No, I think about like the long days too. It always makes me feel better because I feel like when I stay late at work or I do like whatever, like I'm working late, I don't feel as drained because it's still light out. So I feel like there's still
Yeah.
like hours left in the day. Whereas when it's like summer or sorry, when it's winter or fall, um, and it is dark out, I feel like my whole day is over. You just feel like tired more and like just like that's it. Like your day's like over so fast.
Yeah. Like there's nothing left for you to do. I feel that. I find yeah, I'm like trying not to think of it, but it really does sit heavy. Like the fact that the days are now getting shorter. I don't know why it's like affecting us so much. When it's literally still light at like
Yeah,
9
it's
p.m.
like it's not like it was like light out until 9:30 yesterday because it was summer solstice and then today it's like 8 p.m. and the sun has set. But like
Yeah.
it but like it's gradual, but it I just feel it. I'm like, "Ugh,
I also don't know, like for us, like two people who are very into the occult. I don't know if we were supposed to do anything for summer solstice, like have like a seance. Like I didn't do
yeah."
anything. I feel like I didn't appreciate the day as much.
I know, I didn't do anything either. I think I just like rested more than usual
Mhm.
because I was tired because it was really hot,
It was
but
really
I
hot.
cleaned today. So,
Okay. Love that.
I don't know what that means.
Maybe we'll do maybe another episode on manifestation is coming up.
Yeah, maybe we'll do one more on manifestation and summer solstice. Maybe we'll do a manifestation and winter solstice.
Oh, I do kind of love that though.
I mean, add it to our list.
It's not a no.
It's not a no because we will never stop making episodes on manifestation. It will
That's right.
never be enough. The
We
limit does not exist.
Tarini sent me this I think it's like a literal course on Instagram, and it's about like manifestation and social justice. So I'm like, wow, what an intersection of what.
Literally what it like that is actually us. Like we should just change our podcast description from like what do you talk about? We talk about manifestation and social
Yeah.
justice. That's it.
You know, we should like we always talk about, okay, what type of guests should we have on the show? And I really think that we should do you know
Wanda,
what?
whatever her name
Yeah,
is.
Rhonda Barn, Brian Byrne. Like we should
That would
have
go
her.
wild. No, we actually should. That would actually be insane.
And then ask her how she pronounces her last name.
Yeah,
For
be like,
one.
okay,
And
is
then two,
it
you
rhymes?
know, let's like live unpack manifestation.
I'm actually obsessed with that. I'm actually gonna send her an email. I'm gonna reach out to her. Hey.
We have like 10 episodes. We're so interested. Please. 10
Please.
episodes on manifestation alone.
Yeah, like please.
No, we'll make it happen. We'll manifest it and then
We'll
we'll have her
manifest it.
on.
Yes.
We'll try the
This is manifestationception. This is like manifestception.
okay.
You know what? It's been a long day. I can't speak.
It's fine. It's so fine. Also, I'm getting over a cold, so I feel like I still sound kind of stuffed up.
No, you're
You
fine.
find it? No, I do. The little sniff.
Anyways, it is summer solstice. It is summer, and I feel like with summer, there's also like a lot of anxiety that comes around like bodies and like going out, and like people obviously wear different but like less clothes. Or not obviously, but like, you know. And I feel like that brings up a lot of like anxieties about your body and how your body looks. And we our third intersection of like manifestation, social justice, our like third handshake in this would be like the Kardashians.
Oh my god.
And you told me how the Kardashians got their BBLs removed.
Yeah, it's like it's not confirmed, but yeah, there's a rumor going around that they got their BBLs removed, and there are pictures online that show them with a very different body type than what we normally see them as.
Okay, so what if anyone's listening and doesn't know what's a BBL?
It's a Brazilian butt lift. So from my understanding, it's when they take fat from different parts of your body and they inject it into your butt to make it bigger. But it is, from also my understanding, I don't know, it's invasive in the sense that like it can go really bad and the results can be deadly if like something goes wrong. But I also think that like the resting period is really rough. Like you can't lie down on your back, like you can't sit, you can't do anything. Like you just have to give that part of your body a complete break. So there's like a high cost, not just like monetary cost to it.
Oh my God, that's so scary. And
Yeah.
so, like when you remove it, you just like what, take out the fat?
I would imagine, like, I am again,
Yeah.
welcome to the series of we don't have a degree in the subject of which we're talking about, but here is our 2 cents. So I would imagine that it's just like some version of a liposuction, like just taking out the fat.
That's wild because it's crazy how, excuse me, how like women's bodies come in and out of fashion or
Yeah.
like in and out of trends.
Yeah.
And like you told me this, and so I Googled it.
Mhm.
And one of the first things that popped up was like, oh, they got their BBL removed, and or they got their BBLs plural removed, and it's like the end of like the curvy look. And I was like, that's a body. Like it's not like a
Yeah.
top where it's like, oh, it's the end of ruffles, or like we don't like florals anymore. It's literally a body type. Like I can't do I mean, you can do things clearly, but an average person cannot do anything about their body type, whether it's curvy or not.
Absolutely. And it's not even like we were saying this, it's not like they're going from like a very curvy look to maybe something that's more average or what they were at before, like they did all of
Yeah.
the work. they're going to something on the complete opposite of the spectrum, which is they are going for the skinny look. So to your point, it's like skinny is back, which also is super problematic.
It's so messed up to me because they always talk about how they haven't had work done,
Yes.
but it's so interesting how they all have a certain body type. And then Kendall, who is a model and needs to have a very specific type of like being very skinny and angular and whatever,
Right.
has that body type. And then all her other sisters who are not, who are like, you know, not in like the modeling industry and have different body expectations or ideals achieve those very different ideals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't, like, not that you can't come from the same family, but it's very, very unlikely that two people from the same family, or rather like seven people or six people from the same family, one of them would be on the extreme one end of the spectrum of how they look and how body types look, and then everybody else would be on a completely different spectrum
Yeah.
how their bodies look.
It's very like the Kardashians are almost like a caricature of
Yeah.
societal norms. Like they really just do embody like the very like I think of them as like I don't know, like cartoonish because everything
Yeah.
just is so extreme and like obviously I recognize that they are human, like there are people, but also when we talk about um you know their bodies in this way, it's just it's very I find that they obviously sell their bodies and whatever like they have their own agency to do so, but it's just this idea of like the commodification of celebrities in every aspect, whether it's like their personality, their physical shape, form, appearance, like everything about them is just like a walking ad.
Yeah, and it's also like very specific to women's bodies. Like not that
Yes.
men's bodies or like male identifying bodies are not policed in the same way, but
Right.
like specifically I'm like trying to say this in like the best way possible, but like women's bodies are very policed and like very
Yeah.
scrutinized. And so like you can understand almost in a way why they feel like they have to like go through all of these different things, like go through like
Mhm.
surgery, whatever it might be. Do you remember on the hills when Heidi Montag got like all that work done and she was
Yeah.
like it was literally like she was it was like life threatening because she got like 70 different things done or something, and like you're not supposed to get that many things done, and like she was like literally putting her life in danger
Yeah.
to look a certain way.
That was I do remember that because that was like that was the first time that someone did something on like TV to that extent.
Yeah, and it was so scary, and like I remember everyone being like, why would she do that? And then there was this
Yeah.
clip of her like crying because her mother was like, why would you do this? And like I remember also being like, but why would you do this? Like it's so scary
Yeah.
that you are going to put your body through this, because she like couldn't eat for like a really long time, and like she couldn't open her jaw for like a certain amount of time, and like
Yeah, I remember that.
it's so, and I just have a really hard time because on one hand I'm like people should be able to do whatever they want with their bodies, and they should be, and plastic surgery, if you have it, should not be something that you're ashamed of, but at the same time I think it is something that you should openly disclose.
Mhm.
And it can't be, not it can't be, but it shouldn't be like something that's trendy, because at the end
No.
of the day like that is a body type, and like you can't say that bodies come in and out of style, because that's like really messed up. And like just like to paint like a stark like contrast between how men and women's bodies are policed or like regarded, men's bodies, like the only trend, obviously aside from like being super fit, which is also unachievable, was the dad bod, and everyone was like
Yeah.
into the dad bod, which is interesting because women's bodies actually change when they
Yes.
have babies and become mothers, and men's bodies do not change as a result of having a child because they don't actually have children.
Yeah.
And like that's just another way in which like the only time like women's bodies are praised for being like big or whatever is when, And even that is like such an expectation because if you're not showing enough, then it's like, why isn't she showing that she's pregnant enough?
It's really hard because I find like specifically with the Kardashians, it's hard because yes, you're right. Like they are under a lot of pressure, but they are also the leaders in this. Like we've
Yeah.
talked about this before, and like when they continue to promote these extreme body types, like yes, like they are super fit and they do work out and they have access to they have access to nutritionists and personal chefs, and they have access to the best personal trainers. So it's not it's I recognize that it's not all just plastic surgery, but when they are constantly pushing this image onto young impressionable women specifically, then they are playing a part. Like that doesn't absolve them from
Absolutely.
the pressure that they play a
Yeah.
part in building.
Yeah. And like, if anything, the fact that they are on such a pedestal, like, they have the opportunity to be like, you know what? My body changed a lot when I had a baby. Like, they
Yeah.
all almost had kids, and that could have been like a very real moment, but they didn't choose to share. I mean, I don't really watch the show. I don't necessarily keep up with them, but like, as somebody who maybe keeps up with them passively, like sees it in passing,
Hmm.
that's not an like an image or an ideal or a whatever that I ever saw, a narrative that I ever saw.
But I think that's because like I hate to say it, but I think that we are a very small percentage of their base who
Yeah,
follow them who think this way, because otherwise there's no incentive for them. Like they are very out of touch with reality, and I've watched their new show and it is like it's entertaining, but yes, like they are very out of touch. I do find that they have the power to be more connected, you know what I mean? Like
of course.
they're not completely aloof, it's just that this is what sells and
Yeah,
it works for them, which is like so hard. Like you even like we were talking about, like different like you were talking about the dad bod. I was even thinking about their brother, Rob Kardashian, who
yeah.
went through a huge weight journey, whether it was like I think he was on antidepressants. So I think he like gained a lot of weight, and that was super criticized. I don't know if you remember, but everything you hear about Rob Kardashian is relating to his weight. Like, oh, Rob Kardashian looks so great now. Like, oh, Rob, like it's always talking about his weight and his weight loss journey.
I just think I feel like as a society overall, there is
Yeah.
way too much pressure on weight. And obviously, somebody listening to this will be like, oh, well, you fall into what is considered like a conventional standard of what weight should be. And so it's easier for you to say that because you don't have to face the pressures of like being overweight or what that means. But I just feel like weight overall is regarded as kind of the only metric of attractiveness, of health, of
Yeah.
whatever, of life expect, like so many different factors of a person's life. And it's just like, it's not true. And the commodification that is done by people in like positions of power, like the Kardashians, like continue to fuel this narrative. And like there
Mhm.
is, I just like, I often think about this and it's like very whatever, like it's very like strange, but I think about like the first time that something has ever happened. Like if I'm doing something, I'm like, imagine the first time that's ever happened. And like obviously, even in something like fat shaming or like thinking of people who are fat or not even fat, but just who have different body types,
Yeah.
or fat or whatever, like there was somebody who thought this is not attractive or this means
Yeah.
you're not healthy. And I just want to know why, as a society, that's something that we fixated on. Like,
Yeah.
and it goes back to some, it can, like, honestly, goes back to like Eurocentric standards of beauty because women who are from different parts of the world like have more curves and like have different body types. And like even, when we were talking about this, one of the things that I said, which I was like, this might be a stretch, but like Kim Kardashian like had her like BBL phase, whatever, when she was dating men who were black, who were
Mhm.
racialized. And now she's with a white guy, Pete Davidson, and she's getting her BBL removed.
Yeah.
Um, and again, like goes back to like the standards of beauty in society and like the fetishization of racialized women also. But when did and why did weight become such a thing that literally as a society everybody fixates on, when literally every single person's body changes
Yes,
for
all the time.
reasons that have nothing to do with health or whatever?
And it also like discredits the real conversations that are happening around weight and health. Like, perfect example is I'm always bloated, like always bloated.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's not like the conversation in my mind or what I'm seeing or even just what is pushing me to see someone about it is not so much about the discomfort, but the fact that like I don't like how it looks to
yeah,
always be bloated instead of it being like I want to live a healthier life.
yeah. No, and that's like really brave of you to like admit and like say, because I don't think a lot of people allow like let themselves think like that or even like get there. But like how I don't know, I don't know, but like I've talked to like Melissa Wood Health before, I think, on
Yeah.
this like podcast. Um, and like she will always talk about how like her workouts are not about how you look, but it's about like the mental shift and like the mental change. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, 110%. That is why you should be working out. And she like talks about the reason that she
Yeah.
like got started on her mental health, or sorry, on her workout journey, was because of her mental health and like how she just felt like she needed to like feel better. So she was like doing all these workouts that just made her feel better and like meditating and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then she like reposts these stories of like people doing her workouts or even like before and afters and whatever, and they're all like skinny white people. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me, literally they're all like skinny white girls.
Yeah.
I find it so hard because I'm like, your body will look like that because like that is your body type. Not that it's not because of how much or how little you work out or what type of workout you do, but like that also plays a really big part in it. That's just your body type. Like
Yes.
other body types will never look like that. I will never look like that.
No.
That's literally not my body type. Like other people will never look like that, but they will kill themselves trying to. And
100%.
and it's so difficult because you should be doing all of these things because it makes you feel better, because like you don't want to like be in discomfort, like you want your mental health to be better, like all of these different things, but
Yeah.
that's not what ends up happening. And I feel like, I don't know, like it's just like a vicious cycle in like media and also in like the health and wellness space. And like when we talk about feeling good, it often ties very closely to looking good.
Yeah.
And then the cycle kind of is like, well, if you look good, you feel good. And so if you feel good, you look good.
Yeah.
But it all like the emphasis always resides on how you look.
I feel it's like you're talking about different body types and I even just think of myself and my sister. We work out together, like we have a personal trainer and our body types are very different. Like
Yeah.
she's she's the tallest one in our family. She's got like a very slim figure. Even something like, okay, Tarini and Steph know this, but I am convinced that my right knee is a knocked knee, to the point where I will like overanalyze every step I take because I can just feel this freaking knee not doing the work it needs to do. But like I was looking at my sister, I think it was like leg day or something. And I was like, why the hell did I get this like stupid knee and your legs are in perfect formation? Like, I don't know what type of genes you got and I didn't, but I want them. And like, that's a perfect example of people from the same gene pool
Yeah.
not having the same body type. And it's so like, I don't know if it's outlandish to say, but I just feel like we as a society need to shift how we view health in general, but also like how we view weight and like personal health. And I feel like it's time to take the Kardashians off of this pedestal that we've put them on and start putting on people who actually promote a healthy lifestyle based on your individual body type.
Yeah.
It's very tiring to go
Very.
like I don't know if you're finding the same, but I'm also finding that now that we're like getting close to 30, like we still have a few years, but now that we're
It's
literally
my favorite topic. She's like turned
over,
20. She's like, I'm closer to
I
30 a.m. to 10.
I'm 30 tomorrow. I do feel like my body is changing. Like, and that's something that I'm learning to accept. Like, I know you and I were talking about how, like, and this might have been on a previous episode, but how our style has evolved. But because we've been in the pandemic for so long, like, we don't know what that looks like. So we're
Yeah.
trying to figure it out now. I also feel that, some of the things that I used to gravitate towards just no longer look good on my body because my body is different. And I'm learning to be okay with that. But it is like age does play a factor.
But yeah, age plays a factor. And like, wait, the one thing I wanted to say about also your knocked knee that you think that you are like
It's there.
you are very hyper fixated on. And like I believe you. If you say it's there, I
It
believe
is.
you. I've never noticed it, but I believe you. But
She's
okay.
there. You know what? I'll take this to the polls.
There
I
is okay,
will.
the polls will say it does not exist because Steph and I are this poll and we've seen it and we're like, wait, but where?
It's
That's besides the point. The point
bad.
that I was gonna make was that I also feel
Please.
like the reason you like hyper fixate on it so much, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is not because you have like difficulty moving with it or like your mobility is impacted, but you don't like the way that it looks.
I exactly. It looks ugly. Like a fuck. Like I'm all for self-love, but when I see it, I'm like, get it together. Like I don't know what's going on here. I don't know when this started, but it needs to reverse.
I'm dead. I am actually dead. But like that's kind of what I mean, right? Like you're like anybody who is kind of like going through like any sort of like small thing in their I mean, I'm not trying to say your knock knee is a small thing, but like any sort of like difference in their body,
Yeah.
the reason for changing is I need it to look better, not I need it to function better.
100%.
And I feel like that's not just you, that's like a million different things, like a million like that's like I feel like the driving factor for
Yeah.
most of what people do. But they need to like look better or it needs to look better. But also you were like age plays a factor and the fact that we were just we still are, but just came are in or through whatever I don't even know how to say
Yeah.
this, but like a massive pandemic, like a very big life event. Like for every single
Yes.
person in the world, it was very stressful. And like your body is like just trying to cope the best way possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like like literally your body is so stressed. Like it has been so stressed for 2 years and people had different things like people put on weight, like people lost weight, people
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever it might be. But like I don't know, like but like you don't like really you don't give your body the credit I feel like that it
Yeah.
deserves.
No, I totally agree. And I also don't think that like every everyone's we've established that everyone's body is different, and that also means that the workout that best suits your body is not
Yeah.
a one size fits all. And
Yes.
I'm learning also, like, I think this also has to do with age, that you start to understand like that how complex your body is and how much can shift the outcome of a workout. Like for example, I was looking on TikTok and there were all these things about like living your life based on your menstrual cycle. I was
Yeah.
actually just talking to Steph about this. And it was setting the type of workouts you do
Yeah.
based on where you're at in your cycle. So like if you're closer to ovulation, this is like, don't take what I say like verbatim. This is like off the top of my head. But I think it's like, as you're approaching your ovulation period, then you should take, like a lower intensity class or something along those lines. And as I'm getting into personal training and I'm gaining muscle, it's also a shift in this is actually a perfect example. Trina, you know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is also a shift in how I'm viewing my body.
Yeah.
For example, okay, I'm just going to air my
Mhm.
grievances about my body on our podcast. I started lifting weights, okay, which is amazing. I've never been able to lift
I
weights
love it.
before. I look like fucking He-Man, okay? If nobody knows who that is, look it up. He-Man, it's from the 80s. They're this cartoon. My arms are so ripped that
Well,
I'm
that's
overwhelmed.
amazing. Like that is incredible because like women are like don't have or whatever, the emphasis is not on like upper body strength. Like that's so good.
That
And I feel like the same,
yes.
yeah.
Do I love it? No. I'm like, what? I went to my personal trainer and I was like, what's going on? This is not what I wanted. Let's scale it back. And like, why? I think she was also like, what is happening here? Like, you come to me every weekend with some new crisis.
I'm
I
dead.
don't understand. But that's a perfect example of like how society has programmed this particular image of how you should look in your
Yeah.
brain. And even something like strength, like a physical evidence of strength,
The
is not
reverse.
appealing to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I find it so hard. And like this is like specifically to do with like health and wellness. And I feel like this topic is also, or this topic, but like this idea of like the commodification of like woman and beauty and health and wellness is like evident through, we were talking about this, but like through all these celebrities releasing their like skincare lines.
Yes. I'm done. I cannot, like, the market is
Saturated.
saturated.
This is
In
no longer a niche market, people. Just
in one world, in like what world is the celebrity agent like, you know what? I think the world needs another celebrity skincare line. Let's do it.
yeah. No, I know. And I feel like the emphasis there too should be work with your skin. What makes your skin happy? What makes you feel good? Like what do you need for your skin to like thrive? But again, the emphasis is on like obviously it's your skin, so it's how it looks, but like instead of like focusing on how your skin feels, it literally is like on again how it looks. And like
Yeah.
I used to follow this account or this like makeup artist. Her name is Namvo.
Hmm.
I'm sure if you see her or you've heard of her or whatever, um, like you'll know who she is what I meant to say. And her whole thing is like everyone should look like dewy dumplings, and like everything is about like being super dewy and like blah 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 sculpted blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, no, I love it, but like why is the expectation that I look like a fucking dumpling? And
Mm.
like that is also like just like a marketing sell. It's like a
Yeah.
capitalism sell. Like Hailey Bieber's new line, Rode Skincare, Rode Beauty, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Her whole thing is like, let's look glazed like a donut. And I'm like, why do women need to look like donuts though? Like, I just feel like it's absurd that like this is like, you know what I mean? Like, I just wish that like we could just stop emphasizing the way people look
Yeah.
and weight and like I know that's like a very like rainbows and sunshine and puppies and cookies, and I get that I sound like that and it's like very like hippy dippy and whatever, but like I truly just wish we could stop emphasizing that for people because it's so reductive in a narrative, and it is so limiting for women to constantly be putting their energy into how they look and how their hair looks and their curly girl routine and their makeup routine and their skincare and their this and their that and their workout. And I'm just like I have more to offer this world. Every person that I know has more to offer this world than how they look or their weight or how nice their skin is or how pretty their hair is or whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever it might be. And it's so frustrating because it feels like that's the currency with which we operate as a society, and like how you look and things like your weight and your skin and how pretty you are or how well you fit into like conventional standards of beauty is also equated with goodness, like how good you are or how nice you are or how whatever. And it's just, it's a no for me, dog. All in
No,
all, I've decided it's a no for me.
go off. Literally go off. Because that, if we ended the episode right here, I'd be happy because I think you just summed it up perfectly. Like it's what you said now about the currency for women, of which like we level their goodness in this world, is
Yeah.
so accurate. I'm tired.
I'm
Again, like your
tired.
I'm tired. I'm almost 30. Like I don't
I don't have time for
care.
this.
I'm
I'm almost
moving
30. I am
on.
26, but I'm almost 30.
Yeah, like I'm almost 30.
But
There's
like also, but like sorry, before you like remember that thought because I don't want you to forget it, but also like just the fixation with like the fact that when you turn 30 you expire or
uh
something. That like is why everybody's like, "Oh my god, 30, 30, it's so old." It's like, "Holy shit, you're not even halfway. You're not even having a midlife crisis yet." Like why is the fixation on 30? It's because women are literally told you expire. You're no longer like hot because
yeah.
you're like no longer in your 20s, like you're no longer like living your like best like hot life. But like like yes, you are. You don't wake up 29 and 30 and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're a different person. And also the emphasis isn't on, well, shouldn't be on like you like looking hot. Like you can look 30 and look good. And like the emphasis on like looking young is so boring. Honestly, it's boring. Like it's
Yeah, it
not
totally
that everybody
is.
looks like they did when they were 12 years old. Like, why do you want your body to look like it was? And why do you want your face and skin and everything to look like it was when you were fucking 15? Like,
I
that's
agree.
fucked up. Like, as a society, everybody, that's fucked up.
I agree. The thought I was going to say before I forget is that there's a really good show on Netflix which I think I've talked about before. It's called Explained, and they have an episode I think on skincare or like the beauty industry,
Mhm.
maybe even both, but I highly recommend it because they even talk about like the net worth of this industry and all
Yeah,
of the different marketing campaigns they use, like all of these like fancy words they throw in that actually mean nothing.
literally
It's
nothing.
very eye-opening. The other thing I was going to say too about 30, which is so interesting, I was just talking to Steph yesterday and we were talking about dating apps, like
Yeah.
me going on these dating apps. And I was like, you know what, like a prime age, and we both agreed, we were like, a prime age would be like 29 to 32.
Okay.
But I am scared of being in that age range. But I'm okay to date a guy who is, because to me, a guy who's in that age range is like more like has it together. They like are a little older, so they're a little more mature. But once I hit that age, then I like my expectation of myself changes.
Yeah. And like it's also like the narrative we're told about like men versus women of like, oh well,
Yeah.
like
He's
mature,
older.
like they're like mature, slower. So like when they're
Yeah.
engaged, like they're like more mature, like they're finally like hitting their whatever. But for women, it's like, oh well, you should have done everything the moment you came out of the womb. Like you should have been like doing God only knows what. But by 30, like you're done, you're expired. It's time to move on. And like it's so it's exhausting, but it's also like stupid. Like it's stupid. And
Yeah.
I feel like there are genuinely people who think like that. Like I know we joke about it and I know you joke about it, but I know that when it comes down to it, you can like, take the two
I'll
things.
fucking live. Whatever. I will have a crisis, but I'll be fine.
Yes, but you will move forward. But like people literally won't. And like there's
Yeah.
just so many people in this world to whom 30 is like the end of the world. Like that's like the end of that's it. Like there's pressure on fertility, there's pressure on getting married, there's pressure
Yeah.
on this, that, whatever. And it's just reductive and it's stupid. It's
It's
stupid, and it's like just another way that like women are held back in society, truly.
I completely agree. And I find that I am really like I'm just over the like textbook definition of what every age should be. Like even
Yeah.
looking at my 20s, is it the 20s that I see on TV? No, it's not. First of all, we went through a fucking pandemic. I'm
Yeah.
not like thriving in my 20s like I should be. But even like whether it was a pandemic or not, like what does that even mean? And even like going into your 30s, like a couple of things that come to mind in terms of TV shows. One, you were talking about fertility. I think of um I think of New Girl. Like they had a stat in there that said that women lose 94% of their eggs by the time that they're 30. That's horrifying. That's literally
Oh,
like
is that
so
even
scary.
true? Like, why are we getting our medical facts from freaking New
I
Girl?
know. It just like it's like there might be some truth in it. It's just the way that the messaging is not completely accurate. Like again, I don't have an MD, so I'm not going to break down like when you're going to lose your eggs and like by what age and what the percentage is, but like it has an impact on how women shape their 30s and
Yeah.
how women start to plan for their life. And
Yeah.
then also like I think of Friends. Like there's literally an episode called the one where they all turn 30 and it's like this mass exodus
Yeah.
of your life and it's like everything comes crumbling down, everyone's questioning everything, which is like it's that might be some people's experiences, but it's not. People's experiences are not the same, whether it's your body, it's your age, it's what. Just let's all let everyone do and be
Live.
their thing.
Just
Yeah.
live. Like, let's let people fucking live. And
Yeah.
like, even like when we talk about things like weight, like there's so many like people who talk about how doctors are very dismissive of real things that are happening in their bodies because
Yeah.
the first thing that they look at is your weight. Oh, well, you wouldn't have XYZ problem if you lost weight, if you lost weight, if you lost weight. And
Yeah.
there are a million other things that are indicators of health and that can be used to manage your health that have nothing to do with your weight.
No.
Your stress levels, like your genes, like your hormones, like there are so many things. And of course, your weight also impacts those things and excuse me, vice versa. But there are other like levers to pull before you go straight to weight. And like especially women's very real medical concerns are dismissed because of their weight and or their age. Oh, you're 20, you're so young, you don't have XYZ. Oh,
Agreed.
you're 30, your body is changing, so XYZ. It's it's so frustrating because I really just feel like the more you like start to think about these things, the more you realize how like deeply entrenched they are in like every single part of life and like the world and like how you
Mhm.
interact and like literally everything that it feels so heavy because you're like you'll just never like move past it. Like not in my lifetime, not in any
Yeah.
person that is maybe even alive right now's lifetime. But it's just it's it's frustrating that like that's just how people like that's just the society in which we live and that's just like the currency with which we operate. That's just life.
I don't know. Like sometimes I tell myself, I'm like, do I have body dysmorphia? Like, am I like really warping this image of my body, which is so far from what is real? And I'm really trying. I saw this thing online and it, it was like every day you should look at yourself in the mirror and like to like basically like give yourself like self-love, like
Yeah.
self-affirmation, whatever. And I just couldn't do it. Not because like I like didn't want to do it or I didn't feel empowered to do it, but it felt it didn't again, it didn't suit me. Like it just wasn't empowering enough for me. And so something that I'm trying to do for anyone who feels like they're going through the same thing is I just give myself grace and space. Like I really just give myself the most patience that I've ever given before.
Yeah.
And if I like have a day where I'm not feeling the best or what typically happens, like, let's say I'll stress eat,
Mhm.
I'll stop and I'll say, okay, like, we'll try again tomorrow. I'll
Yeah.
be more mindful tomorrow. And then the next day comes and I'll be more mindful. Like, I'll make an effort to be more mindful, whether it's like taking my time. Like, this is like very specific to eating habits, but even just in general, like, okay, I'm going to make an effort to drink more water, or I'm
Mhm.
going to make an effort to do something that's going to help my body feel better
Yeah.
so that I can feel better inside and outside.
Yeah. And like it's like that's amazing. And I think even like what like basically what I'm trying to say is like that is amazing and that's so good. And there are your body is just trying to cope. Like if it is that you're stress
Yeah.
eating, if it's that you're not eating enough, if it's that you are because of how you feel, whatever it is, like your body is just trying to cope and do its
Mhm.
best and do what it needs to do with what you have around you. And like you can thank yourself for that and be like, my body is not against me. It's not trying to do something that is bad for me or that's going to whatever. Like you're just literally every part of you, whether it's your brain, your physical body, your emotions, how you, whatever, how you do anything is literally just your body trying to cope and trying to make it through the day, the month, the year, the week, whatever, with what's happening around it. And like that is okay. Like that's okay. Like however you react is okay. Obviously there are better things and there are worse things in that there are things that are going to harm your body.
Mhm.
There are things that are going to be beneficial to your body. But an example of stress eating, which is so common for so many people, there's
Totally.
a million things you could be doing that are much more harmful for your body. That
So
if
true.
you are stress eating, that's just something you're doing. And it's like you said, you will be more mindful tomorrow, or you will act
Yeah.
in a way that's like more aligned with how you want to feel
Yeah,
tomorrow.
totally.
And that's okay. No action is like good or bad. It's just your body coping with literally what is going on
Yeah. There's
around.
no there's, like, no pressure or shame, like, there's no, like,
Yeah.
time limit on when you can care about your body.
Yeah.
Like,
And you can
it's
always start
completely
again.
fine. You can always start again.
You can always make better in that in by which I mean decisions that are more aligned with like how you want to feel.
Yeah,
Even if you just finished doing something that maybe was out of alignment with that.
yeah. My knock knee, though, it will always bother me, so
My knock knee, yeah, that's gotta go. Not the knock knee though. That gets no grace. That gets no grace. There's
it's
no
no
space.
grace and no
There's
patience.
no
Everything
space
else,
for
I'm like,
knock
whatever,
knee.
it's fine.